Guys, so we are going to rock and roll this morning. We have a couple different things to talk about, but
Morning.
I mean, this afternoon, you just everything kind of blends together for us nowadays. But one thing we wanted to kind of kick this off with is something that Andy literally just texted us. We were going to go a different direction, but then he texted us. We were like, oh my gosh, we really need to talk about this. So we're just going to read off what Andy just sent over to us. And I just want you guys, you can either write it down or just think about it. So as you guys know, the industry is starting to shift even more into more of a recession. So everyone, a lot of these guys in economics, the big wigs up there who know what they're talking about are talking about this is going to be worse than 2008, what's coming. And a lot of people are just going to continue to do what they're doing, and they're not going to take precautions or next steps to be able to accommodate for the kind of market that we're about to shift into. So what Andy said was, the economy is going to expose lazy workers. It'll expose reckless, arrogant entrepreneurs. All of you guys are entrepreneurs, a business inside of your business. It's going to reward the hard workers when money was tight. It's going to reward those with their eyes. Wait, with what?
Reward those who keep their eyes open and keep their ears to the ground.
So he texted us that, and we were like, oh gosh, so we need to go in a different direction. And this kind of ties into partially what we already wanted to talk about today. But the biggest thing is I was actually in a text conversation today with somebody, and he was talking about, he was just kind of rambling on about how he is all set and, he made it through 2008, he survived. We don't want to build people that just survive. That's just like saying, if you have a house that you've built and you pull one brick from the bottom and the whole house caves in, what kind of house do you have? You really you didn't have a house at all. If just pulling one brick can make the entire thing and the entire foundation of what you built crumble down. So you guys have to remember that you don't want to just be in survival mode 24/7. That's pretty much where most of us have always been, is in survival mode, living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to do the things that we want to do. We've been in that mode.
Yeah, that's so true. And like just the fact that all of us got into sales, you can almost guarantee that the reason you got into sales is probably because whatever you were doing before this, it wasn't paying you what you were worth. You were probably just barely scraping by, probably didn't really feel fulfilled in what you were doing. And then you may have heard somebody, or you always knew that sales was really the direction that you needed to go in to create that opportunity for yourself, because you have to realize, guys, that no one's really going to like reach out and just give you things. Okay. You have to go out and work for it. You have to go out and grind for it. And so that is what sales is. It is a grind. It's definitely not something that's easy, but it's like almost the one thing that if you can really commit to it, put time, energy, and capital into it and back into yourself as well, sales will really be that way out so that you can kind of get out of this survival mode that Maria's talking about here. Because until you can do that, and until you can kind of break away from that feeling, that lifestyle, it's always going to keep scratching and clawing to keep you where you're at. You just have to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And eventually, if you keep at it and you stay consistent, you will break through, you will get out of that.
The biggest thing that you guys are going to have to shift to is really dialing in the skill. Time in the paint, you also have to do that too, but also time and experience isn't really correlated to how much success you're going to have within what you're doing. No one said you had to spend 20 years trying to figure this out, especially when you have someone that already spent 20 years doing it, showing you exactly what they did. So basically, Andy took the trial and error that he went through and the just kind of random things that he was just shooting in the dark. And he took everything that stuck and developed a training to condense time frames. We talk to a lot of people through the day, and what they want to do is they always just want to get in front of more people. So I want to draw a picture for you guys and show you what this means.
And while she's doing that, or while she's kind of moving the board over here, I just want to say one thing that she made me think about there. We hear it time and time again, you guys. Oh, I did really good this month, but I'll use Tom just because that's the first name that popped in my head. But this guy, Tom, man, he's been at my dealership for 20 years. And he always comes in first. He's always the top guy. And it's almost like they use that as an excuse to not push themselves hard enough to learn the skills and really build that brand to become that top guy there. It's almost like they put this crutch on themselves that they're always going to be under Tom because Tom's been there for 20 years. Well, why not lean on somebody that knows exactly what to do? They've been there, they've done that. and they can put you at Tom's level, like Maria said, compressing time frames. They can put you at Tom's level literally in a fraction of the time it took Tom. Like, do we want to take 20 years to get where Tom's at, or do we want to take 12 months to get where Tom's at? To me, I'm voting 12 months, and I know it's going to cost a little bit, but I'm voting 12 months every single time.
And shout out to Tom, because Tom just got himself a brand new job at a dealership.
Let's go, Tom.
Killer.
Let's go, Tom.
So he came out here. I got to tell you guys about Tom, okay? He came out here and Tom does not have a whole lot of money. I'm sitting on the phone with Tom. I can tell over the phone that obviously he's an older guy, but we go just back and forth, back and forth. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay, because I know it's going to change your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. So Tom's a perfect example of someone who's lived some life. It has a lot to offer other people, but he still needs that extra push. He comes out here, and Tom, I'm telling you guys, has been put through the freaking ringer. He came out here with no job. Like, just honestly,
savage.
He really is. And at one point, I wasn't sure if he actually had a hotel. I was a little bit concerned, but I was like, you know what? Guy's relentless. He's going to figure it out. He'll be good, because he had to drive like an hour here from where he was at, in addition to flying into Arizona. So, and then he left here, fired the hell up, and actually got a job at a dealership. So I want to just give a shout out to Tom for being a freaking badass. But awesome job, Tom. So what I want to show you guys, especially with anyone who's new or even been in the industry, the big thing that you hear a lot is like, I need to get in front of more people. I need to get in front of more people. Well, with everything shifting,
I need more leads.
You need more leads. Yeah. You guys are going to get in front of less and less people. And if you're not prepared to accommodate for that, you won't make it in the new market. And what do I mean by that? So we're just going to I'm going to try to look back. Okay. So we got a little graph here. Okay. And a lot of you guys, let's just say we put 10 people in front of you. Okay. If I put 10 people in front of you, on average, most salespeople will say, yeah, well, I can probably close at like a 20 or 30% rate. Okay, great. So if I put 10 people in front of you, close 2 or 3 of them. So either way, let's just call this like our middle ground. Like, this is you in car sales. This is you making money. This is you closing deals like 50%, we'll call it. Because at the end of the day, you do have to spend some time building your business and building that client base, because people have to learn within your economy or your community whether or not they can like, know, and trust you. So we're going to call this the 50% line. This is somebody who has spent, we'll say this is over the amount of 5 years. Okay. So over 5 years, this is where you're going to go. You're going to go exponentially, and you're either going to continue to go up, or you're going to level out, or you're going to quit eventually because you get burnout, whatever happens to people. But say these are your 10 leads and you close 50% of them and you hit in the middle. Since the average car person's only closing about 20 or 30%, the amount of money that they can actually make, the amount of money, is down here. They're not making a whole lot of money because they're only closing at 30% in front of 10 leads. Well, let's say if we take the same 10 leads, but you can close at an 85% rate or 70% rate, then at that point, you're still in front of the same amount of people, but we're making more money. The whole idea of getting into sales was to be able to make money. So if you can take the same amount of people that you're getting in front of, but you can elevate your skill. The person up here has skill. They've been spending the time in the paint. They've been doing the training. That person is going to make more money than you, yet they've been in the industry for the same amount of time. They've both been in for 5 years. What I hear a lot of people say is, well, if I could just get in front of more people, then I can make more money. Well, not really, because at the end of the day, even if I change this to 20 people, but you still close at a 30% versus the guy that's closing at 50 or the guy that's closing at 75, you're still not making a whole lot of money. And think about the number of times more that you're going to get your ass kicked because you are in front of 20 people still closing at a 30% rate, or you can just close more of the 10 people that were in front of you, because no one likes rejection. That's one of the number one things that burns a lot of people out within sales, is getting rejected and getting hit and being told no. And we use the analogy a lot, even something as simple as dealing with basic objections. And I call them basic, not in a way to make you guys feel bad, but they really are the same objections. We talk to dealerships across the US, into Canada, in Africa, into Mexico. We're talking to dealerships across the world, and they're getting the same stuff. I have to talk to my wife. I have more cars to go look at. The price is too high. I don't like the interest rate. You're getting the same stuff. The miles are too high. Everybody's getting the same stuff. So when I call them basic, I mean, you're not getting something like, my mom just called and diagnosed with cancer. Like, That's something out of the freaking blue that you wouldn't even try to handle.
That's a real objection.
That's a real objection though. And we have people all the time that say, oh, well, I actually have a car full of groceries. We have dealerships now that have refrigerators so that they can handle that objection. I was on the phone with one of them today.
Elite.
Yeah, it's funny. He was like, oh, we got a fridge in the back. And like he said, we would go out there and pull all their groceries out and sell them a car anyways.
That's it.
Like that's that next level.
That's the next
But
level.
me saying that they're basic just goes to show that there are very simple ways to overcome a lot of these things. You just have to be willing to put in the extra work. You guys have to elevate that close ratio in utilizing your language, because just like that little piece that we were talking about in the beginning that we brought up, the way that the economy is shifting, it will expose the lazy people. It will expose the people that say, hey, if I just pay for ads and I get in front of more people, I'll close more deals. Well, homie, unless you're closing 100%, you need to learn, you need to fix how well you're closing. You need to fix your language. You need to fix how you negotiate. You need to fix how you handle objections. Do all of that and then worry about the people that you're going to get in front of. But the way that the market is moving, you guys aren't going to get in front of a lot of people. I even had a call today from a guy in Ohio, and he's telling me, he's like, we're already 6 days in the month. We're #1 in our town for selling cars, and we've sold 3 cars. It was like, we have other people on our strip, other dealerships who are sitting at 0 on day 6 because they can't get any foot traffic in. So that's why in those moments, those tough moments when your back is against the wall, you better be really damn good at what you do so that you still come out on the other side with a job. And none of us want to survive. We want to make money. Do you have something?
I was just gonna chime in.
Oh, go ahead.
whenever
Yeah,
were
you
done.
swiped me. So go ahead.
Oh, that was an accident. I got this thing where I swipe her on the butt cheek whenever I want to talk. She'll get on the thing and she'll just keep going and keep going.
I do have a team.
What I was gonna say is she's talking about people that claim that they need more leads versus just becoming better at what you're doing every single day. And we say this because, like I said earlier, a lot of people think that the longer you do it, you're just naturally going to become better at it. That is true in a sense, because the longer you do anything, you will become a little bit better. But if you're not doing it the right way, you'll never become as good as you could be. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. And so what does she mean by you have to become a better closer? You have to close more deals out of the 10 that you're already getting in front of. We need to stack some skills. And a trained salesperson can always take out an older salesperson, a more experienced salesperson every single time. That's how Andy started out doing so well, so young, because he was basically taking half of his income and putting it right back into self-improvement. At the age of 19, he was spending like $3,000 a month. And this is back 20 years ago. So just think, like, that would probably be like $5,000 a month, if not more today, that he's a 20-year-old kid paying out just to get better at what he's doing. So you have to keep that in mind. Like, experience really doesn't mean much in the sales game. Yeah, you're going to be known probably a little bit more because your name's going to be out there. You have more time to actually develop more skill. But at the end of the day, if you just funneled all your energy and focus into gaining those skills early on, the exponential, like Maria was saying in the graph, the exponential growth that you're going to get from that, you're going to be like years ahead of the guy that's been doing it for 20 years at 5.
Yeah.
So just always keep that in mind, because that's one thing that a lot of people fall back on is they're like, oh, I just need more people. Oh, I just need more people. Sales is a numbers game. The more people I can get in front of, the more deals I can close. How about you learn how to close and then you get in front of as many people as possible? That's where a lot of people go wrong. Okay. And so this really kind of rolls into like just having a goal that you want to get to. A lot of people say this, oh man, I really want to sell 15 cars this month. I really want to sell 20 cars this month. I want to sell 30 cars this month. Whatever your goal is, everyone has one. Doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you've been doing it for 10 years, you have a goal that you want to hit. But where people go wrong every single time, most of the time, is do they have a plan of how they're going to get there? Do they have a plan? Because if they don't, they're basically just mindlessly wandering into work every day, hoping that they trip and fall and hit their goal at the end of the month. And we all know that's never going to happen. So if you don't have a plan in place, you know, I talk with Alex a lot about his goals. I talk with Lane about her goals a lot. At the end of the day, we have to put a plan in place if we really want to hit those goals. And that is so vital. It's so important, because if you don't have like a structure, then how are you ever going to get there unless you just get lucky and trip and fall into it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this is that people go in each day And when they walk into the day, they don't really have a game plan. And there is a true compounding effect to what losing one day can do. Because once you lose one day and you start gaining traction with loss, or not hitting those goals, that will compound over. And then before you know it, you'll blink and 90 days have passed and you haven't gotten any further towards where you wanted to get to. So we're talking about this going down to the hour. And so what we wanted to give you guys, we actually have, I don't know if everyone has taken advantage of this, but we do have a daily planner. And what the planner is it allows you, and it's set up for like a week at a time. So like once a week, you might have to print this planner out. But what it does is it sets you up to actually lay your goals out for each and every day and what you're going to do within that day. How long are you going to be on the phone? How long are you going to be taking ups off the lot? How many ups do you plan to get off the lot? How many lists are you going to cold call? Those are going to be the things where it'll allow you to walk you through exactly how to structure your day so that you know where you're going. But at the same time, a lot of people, when they set this plan up, but then they don't hit it, they do a couple different things. Number one, they beat their asses. They beat themselves up because they didn't hit it. Number two, they'll walk out of the dealership with a smile on their face. I got this in the back of the book. Yeah, Lane, you should have gotten it in there. It's in there. So it's not everyone has the book. So I just want to make sure that everyone does get a copy of that because we're going to give a copy of it away. Or they'll either beat their own asses, they'll bang their head against the wall, or they'll walk out like, no big deal, I'll try again tomorrow. It is a big deal because, and I don't mean a big deal in that you have to beat yourself up. What you have to actually do is sit down. And I would take this on a piece of paper because we write our goals out every single day. We're like, okay, what are we going to do today? What's our game plan? If we fell short yesterday, how are we going to double time it today? So you guys write down, literally, if you have to write down, ask yourself, why did I not make my goal today? What's the hole? Because the more that you're aware of what your holes are, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to fill them. And if you can do that and you can actually look yourself on a daily basis and say, did I reach where I wanted to get to? Did I give 100% today? The hardest thing you will ever do in your life is give 100% and not see the return on it yet. But you have to keep in mind that there is a compounding and there's also a delay to this. There's at least a 90 day to 6 month delay on whether or not what you do today is going to actually see a result. And that's with anything in your life. It's not going to be immediate. Now, can you make split decisions like Tom did and make a decision to just, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to jump? Yes, you can do that in some aspects. But as far as building this machine that you're trying to build for the long term for you, keep in mind that what you do today will be a direct reflection of where you are in the next 90 days, next 6 months. But if where you're at today, you don't like it, let's take that notebook, because we love to write notes. Let's take that notebook and write down the things that we did over the last 90 days that didn't contribute to where we wanted to get to. The more aware that you are, the easier it will be for you to change. If you walk through the day and you put your blinders on and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to do it tomorrow. You're going to see that compounding effect.
That's so true. And one thing that I was talking with Alex with the other day, Alex and I work together a lot, so that's why I keep mentioning him. One thing that I told him to do the other day is if you get in front of 5 people today, let's say you got in front of 5 people, you only sold one deal, no matter if it's over the phone, if you're selling cars, if you're selling life insurance policies, whatever it is. You got in front of 5 people today and you only closed one of them, keep a log of the 4 that you didn't close and why. Think back through the process. Where did you go wrong? Where did the deal kind of fall off track? What did you not do that maybe you could have done to help close it? So keep track of, maybe you got hit with an objection you weren't expecting and it got you, it tripped you up, you lost the deal. Write that objection down. And then you'll start to notice a pattern. If you do this every single day, you'll notice a pattern. Dang, I keep losing deals because of this one thing. It pops up every other day. Like, boom, that's where your weakness is. You need to kind of hone in on that and dial that in, or else it's just going to keep tossing you money day after day after day after day. And it's going to keep you from hitting those goals that we're talking about. So that's so important. And then what Maria was saying is the decisions that you're making right now, today, this month, this week, they are who you're going to be and where you're going to be 30, 60, 90 days from now. So you have to keep that in mind. And really, in the grand scheme of things, the reason that you are where you are currently, every single one of you, even Maria and I, the reason that you are wherever your feet are right now is because of the decisions that you've made in the last 3 months, the last year, the last 5 years, the last 20 years. Okay. So it all really comes down to a decision. And then if you think about it, like who I am now versus who I want to be, draw a line down the middle and write down what decisions does this person make who I am now. Think about everything. What decisions do you make on a daily basis? And then think about this person I want to become. What type of decisions would they make? And then try to go be that person, because you're not ever going to get there unless you start making the same decisions that that person is making.
Yeah, I think for you guys specifically, just understand that no matter what you do, it's going to cost more than you want to pay. So, I mean, think about it in the aspect of like, if any of you guys own a house, okay, if you spend $250,000 on a house, but the house wasn't really worth $250,000, but you really, really, really wanted the house because it's your dream house. It's the house you're going to raise your family in. It's got a good foundation. It's got the white picket fence for the dog to go in the backyard. It's beautiful. It's the best house, but you didn't want to pay $250,000 for it. You wanted to pay $200,000 for it. No matter what you do, it's always going to cost you more than you're willing to pay for it. But how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to get fit? How bad do you want to reach that next skill level? How bad do you want to actually make money? And what are you willing to give for it? Because we're willing to give everything. We give everything for what we're doing. We sacrifice every aspect of our life just to do what we want to do because we know exactly where we're going. So if you guys aren't willing to make those sacrifices, you will have a harder time getting to that next level.
Lane, I saw you typed a message in there. If you'll shoot that same message to me, just text it to me. We'll talk about that like either later tonight or tomorrow, whenever you get off or something. Because I have a couple good points on that, and maybe it's like everyone else does. So I'll just mention it here for a second. Lane says she keeps trying to journal. She's not really good at it. She's not consistent with writing things down. And she asked, what's your advice for those that are bad at it? I'm going to let Maria talk on this for a second, because she writes every single thing down in the history of her whole entire day. She writes it down. So
these shits are going to be published one day.
yeah. She's got a ton of notebooks that are just filled with ink. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I am really bad. I'll tell you this. I'll just tell you what I do, and you can take it or leave it. I don't sit down and journal, because a lot of the times when you're going through your day to day, you're going to have thoughts, and thoughts come and go so fast that it's really difficult to catch them. And if you try to catch them all at one time and then like sit down at night and try to think back, because you may have heard something really good that you wanted to remember and you're like, yeah, I'm going to remember that for later. And then you don't actually remember it. I write everything down. So this is book 4 in 6 months that I've gone through. I just keep a notebook with me. And like, as I have thoughts and there's stuff in here like meetings with Andy, there's meetings with Sean, there's meetings with the entire team, there's conversations I've had with clients. I mean, I put everything in here. I may even have my headphones in at my desk. I listen to this app called Pep Talk every single day. If I hear something good on Pep Talk, it's probably usually like David Goggins or somebody, whatever. And I'm like, dang, that's good. And I write it down. And it might be, I just hear something in passing and I write it down. But I don't ever just sit down and journal, because we have so much going on through the day. And I know you guys are like this too, where you just have so much going on at one time that it's really difficult for you to cut out yet another hour to do something. So we're saying like, let's cut out an hour and a half to go to the gym. Let's make sure we have 45 minutes to eat breakfast. We still have to drive to work. We have to go to work. We have to do all the things that we have time blocked in the day at work. Then we got to go home. Then we got to take care of kids. Then we got to make sure that we're food is ready. We got to eat through the day. We got to have a coffee break. We got to have like 10 pee breaks if you drink a lot of water. There's so many things that you have going on to where this will ultimately keep getting put on the back burner, and you'll miss out on some of those really good thoughts or those key moments of things that you needed to know that you now they're in one ear and they're out another and they're gone, because your brain just cannot keep up and process every single thing and remember every single thing. So if you just, and I even have like a mini notebook that I keep on my desk too, where I'll just go through and I'll just write it down. And I've even gone back into it's so crazy. I've gone back into my original notebook whenever I started with the LA group, and there's some good stuff in there. Like sometimes I just read back and I'm like, dang, that like you forget stuff. You just forget that you used to say certain things or do certain things that were so good. And yeah, so Lane said, so yeah, I just jot notes. And I don't mean, my notes can be like a feeling. My notes can be something I heard. My notes can be a conversation with someone that triggered something else. or my notes, like even right now, I've got notes for the Zoom call, things that we discussed that we wanted to talk about. Because at the end of the day, we're all public speakers, but we're training every single day, just like you guys. So we still have to have an outline of kind of the direction that we want to move in to make it make sense for everybody so that everyone gets enough value out of it. So it might be like you thinking, oh, you just jot notes down. Well, kind of, sort of, but those are the things that are going through my head.
And just a different perspective for those of you that don't carry a pen and paper around with you everywhere like Maria does. Because she really does. If you ever see her, she's got a notebook like tucked in her arm every single time.
I'm like a little college student
She
always.
is, yeah, she is. She has that. So funny. What I do that really helps me is one thing I always have on me, just like most of you, is my phone. Okay. And if you have an iPhone, you can literally say, hey Siri, remind me whatever you want to say. And then you can go into your reminder app at the end of the day, or you can even say like, hey Siri, remind me at the end of the day today to jot down blah, 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 blah. And then now you've told Siri to remind you at the end of the day, it'll probably program it for like 5 or 6 o'clock, something like that. You can even set the time you want it to remind you, or the location. Remind me when I get home to pull out my notebook and write down 5 things. Like you can customize it as much as you want, but that helps me so much because I'll get people like just reach out all the time. Hey, can we hop on a call today? Hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, when do you have time to talk today? And then they'll like shoot out a time. Hey, can I talk at 1 o'clock? Well, it takes me longer to like pull out my calendar, make sure I have time, set an appointment, all that stuff. So I'll just be like, hey Siri, remind me to call so-and-so at 1 o'clock. And then boom, like 12:55 pops up and Siri reminds me, hey, you have a call with so-and-so in 5 minutes. And so it's like, that keeps me from missing a bunch of stuff because I don't always have something to write with, or it's faster than typing something down on my phone, like a note or something. So keep that in mind too. If you have an iPhone, hey Siri, she's literally right there in your pocket and she'll help you with almost anything. So I do that all the time.
Yeah, as far as like a journaling on a mental aspect, I would say too, someone told me to do this and I actually haven't done it. I'll be straight up honest with you guys. I've just kind of been putting it off. And this kind of goes in 2 roads. I know we're supposed to be talking about sales, but this shit's all incorporated in the way that we sell. So we're going to say it anyways. So I was listening to Goggins one time and he was talking about recording your story. A lot of us have been through some really bad stuff that we don't necessarily deal with. Like most of us just bury that stuff down and we don't really necessarily have a discussion about it. And it's also really difficult to talk to people without being like, well, am I complaining or am I just trying to share my story? Like how I don't even understand, but you're just trying to work through it. If you record what you say and what you're feeling in the moment, and then you wait a little while and you go back and listen to it, you're going to have a little bit different of a perspective of how your story comes about. But you also have to deal with the stuff from the past, the things that happened when you were a kid, or the mistakes that you made in your 20s, or the mistakes you made in your 30s, or maybe you have a relationship that you squandered and you're trying to work through that and you carry that guilt. Write the guilt that you feel and write that pain and that weight that you feel onto a piece of paper and work through it. Tell your story as if you were going to write a book and you were going to publish that out. Because if you can get it on paper and then you can actually say it with your words and then listen to yourself, it makes dealing with the pain of what you're going through a lot easier. And if you can work through that, you can do anything, because that shit sucks going through that. So if you can work through your trauma and you can work through your pain, you can work through a couple of objections that are kicking your ass right now. It's just a matter of doing it. And like I said, I'm straight up honest with you guys. I actually haven't done it, and having this conversation now even inspires me personally to want to go and like write this stuff down. It's also, saying, you know what to do, but you don't always do what you know, kind of thing. It's like, I know it would help, but it's like reliving those moments is also something that nobody wants to do. Think about how much better you would be all around by dealing with those kinds of things. And I know this is sales training. I know we're talking about sales, but we all know too that we only live one life. And if we spend 12 hours a day at a dealership lot or on the phone selling or whatever industry that you're in, that shit will play a role on you. And you'll just trick your mind to think that you're not good enough because of some things in the past. So just deal with it head on.
Yeah, 100%. And that really does make me think like just recording more, because writing is one thing, but speaking is another. And that's really one of the reasons why we continue to do these calls is, one, not only to get to know you guys more, build a connection with you guys more, and get to like just speak more, because the more you can get in front of people and talk. We even joined a group called Toastmasters. I don't know if
Oh,
anyone's
yeah.
heard of it. Every Wednesday, we literally go sit with a room full of people. We have no idea who they are yet because we just started the group a couple weeks ago. And we just talk. It's literally like practice public speaking, which we're all public speakers, no matter how much we say we aren't or we don't want to be one. Anytime you're in front of someone else and you're speaking to them, you are a public speaker. Okay. And so the more you can do it at the end of the day, the better you're going to get at it. And so if you can start recording yourself more, like what Maria was saying, it's going to, one, let you kind of get stuff out of you faster, because it's better to just get it out than it is to like sit and stew on it for a while. And then also too, like, let's just say you have a bad situation and you're complaining about it. You're kind of down on yourself. You feel like you're unlucky, whatever it might be. Well, pull out your phone or something and record yourself talking about the situation. And then I guarantee if you go back maybe at the end of the day or the next day, or maybe even a week later, and you listen to it, you're going to be like, what in the hell was I even complaining about? Like, you'll realize that what that moment had zero effect on even the next day and next week later. And I think too many people get caught up on like the little things, and they don't really like understand how minimal of an impact they have on the long term. And if you just did that more and you spoke to yourself more, you heard yourself speak more, like how many of you guys are recording yourself when you practice like objections and stuff like that? If you're not, you're missing out on a big chunk of that training portion, because you have to be able to see what you look like, hear what you sound like. Because until you're doing all the hand gestures and body motions, and you're using your eyes and things like that, and you're smiling, you have to smile. If you're not practicing all that, then that's not going to translate out to the car lot. And so the only way to know that you're doing that is to record yourself. And I think it really just goes a long way with just progressing at not only what you're doing day in and day out, but also at speaking, which is so important. What are you looking for?
I was just looking where you're talking.
What who is iPhone on here? I saw him peeping through. It looks like we have a ceiling fan on the call. Who we got?
I don't know why it's iPhone. It's Max.
Oh, what's up, big dog?
Max?
What's
Max
up?
is a killer.
Max is local now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max has moved out here. We were actually used to be neighbors. He was on one side of the lake. We're on the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
We both live out here in Arizona. It's crazy.
Now it's the other side of the desert.
That's it. That's it. I also want to shout out Lane, because Lane just got a new truck and she's super excited about it. Let's go, Lane. We love celebrating wins.
Yeah, but a lot of you guys that are on this call, I'll just tell you, because I know Lane's been here for a long time. We've been connected with Max. He's been out here a lot. He was just out here not too long ago. And I know we're doing some work with you guys individually, but you guys are like our inner circle, and we've watched every single one of you grow in some aspects since we connected. And it's just really cool to see you guys, because I also don't think sometimes you guys realize how much you change us when we have these conversations and what we do. But the fact that, you know, Tom got a job and Lane got a truck, like, you know, Max came out here, flew all the way out to Arizona and got a new job here and has been
Cody's
training
getting
coaches. Cody's getting married. Like, all of you guys are all doing things that, like, we just want to push you guys towards every single day. And that's the whole point of these calls.
I remember when Alex started. Alex and I first spoke back in, I don't know, October, November, something like that. And now he's training all the new guys that come work at his dealership.
Yeah.
Like, how freaking cool is that?
So you guys, you know, every single person on here grows in some aspect. And that's the only reason, like, you guys don't understand. Sometimes we hop on these calls and, you know, there might only be 2 people on here, but those are the 2 people that needed to hear what we had to say at that time. And just having you guys on here and watching you guys grow and watching you guys develop and watching you guys kick ass, that's the whole point that we put these on. You guys know, you know, we don't get paid monetarily for these, but we get paid in fulfillment, that we can take what we're being taught and give that to you guys to just take as much of it in as you can and just run with it. And I know sometimes we don't talk about all the tactical things that come along with selling a vehicle. It's because at the end of the day, let's all be real. There's not a whole lot of tactical stuff. Yes, you have to utilize social media. Yes, you have to know how to handle objections. Yes, you have to know how to write them up whenever you get them in. You have to know how to do a walk around. But those are all things that you guys have all seen. Those are all videos that Andy has trained you guys on directly. What you guys don't have is someone standing here who's pushing you guys to say, hey, we know you guys can do better. Hey, we believe in you. We wouldn't keep showing up every single Thursday to be able, if we didn't actually believe in what you guys were capable of. So, mad love for you guys and what you're doing, but it's just really impactful for us to see that the words that we have and the feelings that we have and the message we're able to translate is pushed into you guys to go out in the world and just freaking kill it.
And shout out Cody. He just said he's having a baby. That's awesome, man.
And Cody's having a baby.
That's awesome.
I love it. So, we don't have a whole lot more. That was kind of what our plan was for today for you guys. I want to tell you, and the reason why I'm not going super deep into anything is because next week we have 4 straight days of training for you guys. It's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 45 minutes to an hour long of just dialing in everything to do with social media. Social media is a free tool that you can use. Can you do paid ads? Yes. But a lot of people don't know how to actually build a relationship on social media and what that looks like. So we do have 4 days. They're all going to be different. They're not going to be the same. So we do encourage you guys to hop on. So next week's call, Killing It with the Kirby's, is going to be combined in with that social media training for Thursday. And we're going to push everything up to 5 o'clock our time instead of 6 o'clock our time.
Yeah, we know it's getting late. We
Yeah.
know, yeah.
So I know it's like 9 o'clock on the East Coast someplace. So we're going to shift everything and we're going to do that earlier time at 5 o'clock on Thursdays from here forward. But just know that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will also be at 5 p.m. 45 minutes to an hour. Make sure you bring your notebooks because we're giving a lot. Number one, we're giving a lot of stuff away. But it'll also be really good tactical training on what you guys need to do to be able to dial that side in, especially because we're talking about this shift in the market. So we know that leads are of concern for a lot of people, although we know that the skill set would be helpful too. Let's at least give you guys some kind of something that you can take back with you if you guys come onto those calls. And we'll launch it and stuff. There's gonna be some cool prizes at the end if anyone comes to all 4 calls and how that's going to be structured. But we'll launch a little video beforehand, kind of giving the instructions on how it's going to work. And then we'll have you guys on for those 4 days to freaking kill it with us.
And you guys are at an advantage because we're going to release on that first video she's talking about the day before. Whoever is present for all the calls, they become eligible for a prize at the end of the 4th call. So
it's pretty good.
If you come to all 4 of them and then there's something else you got to do, but you got to be on the call to find out what it is, then there's something at the end of it. So it's pretty cool. We're excited. And
even last week, like we put a little incentive out last week on social media. So I don't know how active you guys are on Sales Nation, but you guys should be active or even active on our pages, because even last week we gave away a complete seminar package for someone to come out here and actually come to a seminar live with us. And just to give you, I think that we're not super religious, but we do think that God works in very unique ways. And what I mean by that is this guy that actually got the package has been following Andy for 4 years. And he's very, very like just in his shell, doesn't like to talk to people, isn't used to it, has kind of like been at the same level for the last like 8 years that he's been in car sales, selling like 10 cars a month. And so he's never reached out. He's just been sitting inside of Sales Nation, watching Andy grow, watching the team grow, and watching the training and just kind of implementing what he can, but he's never been pushed outside of his box. And so sometimes I think, when we draw that name out, that it's meant to be that person for a reason. So this guy gets to come out here. He's like 29 years old. He's got a baby girl and a wife, and he gets to come out here and train live with Andy. So those are the kinds of things that we're putting on as incentives to kind of get more people involved in what we're doing, but also to give some people the opportunity to maybe get that little free lottery ticket that they've been begging for or praying for to help just push them to that next level. So keep an eye out for that. 4 days next week. We're going to see you guys there. We're also going to have Young Closers Alliance, I think they're calling it. There'll be a bunch of guys. They're going to be here training with us too, learning how to use social media, the newer team with the Elliott Group. So they'll be here too, also listening and training with us. So probably be a little crazy launching it off. We'll make it happen. It'll be a good time. We're going to do it through Zoom and it'll be Facebook Live. So if you guys have anyone that can utilize that, I know you guys all know someone in sales. So you want to bring them along with you?
Yeah, bring someone.
Bring someone with you so that we can get a couple numbers on to really learn and train together. It doesn't cost anything but some time, okay?
Text us if you want the daily planner.
Oh yeah, if you want the daily planner and you don't have it yet, just text us. You guys either have me or Bryson's number, so shoot that over and say, hey, I'm the daily planner, and we'll shoot you guys over the PDF, okay? All right, guys,
Love you guys.
keep kicking ass and taking names.